Hello everyone, it's the weekend. Welcome again to Massey United Insurance's Line and Length. It's a cricket program where we look at the sport not only in the region but internationally as well. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Hello to all of our friends on Digicel's Sportsmax. What an episode we have for you today. We're going to talk to Ryan Hinds, the former West Indies and Barbados cricketer. He's now a new coach at the UWI, and he's also going to tell us why he has chosen not to accept a deal to play for the Guyana Jaguars in the upcoming West Indies Cricket Board Professional Cricket League. It promises to be a very explosive interview. Also in this edition, a tearful goodbye. Kumar Sangakkara songs off for Sri Lanka, but not before shedding a tear, as his parents and his wife were there to see him play his final test match after 18 glorious years in cricket. The Ashes done and dusted. It was England who won 3-2 despite that last test not going their way. And we're going to hear from the new man to take over for Australia. We're going to hear from Steve Smith and also look back a little bit at the Ashes and also generally some news happening around the cricketing world. You're watching Massey United Insurance's Line and Length. Don't you move a muscle. We'll be back.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Welcome back on the show. As promised, Ryan Hinds is here with us. We all know Ryan Hinds from the Barbados West Indies cricket, a man who would have played alongside Brian Lara in some very key and critical innings in his life. And coming down the chain of command, Ryan, your career at age 34 now has reached a stage where you have elevated yourself to the cricket is out of the way. You're now coaching. You're now the assistant coach at the UWI, University of the West Indies, and you've chosen to forego your contract with the Guyana Jaguars, who you were picked to play for in the WICB's Professional Cricket League. I want to ask you about that first of all, because a player earlier got sanctioned for not fulfilling his contractual obligations, and you have decided not to play. What is the reason that you're not going to be playing for the Guyana Jaguars this year?
First of all, Barley, thank you for having me on the show. It's quite clear. Basically, I would have received my new post at UE, as you rightfully said, assistant coach, which I have been well received amongst my peers and also amongst the management as well, and I'm enjoying it at this current moment. In terms of the Guyana franchise, I would have sat with my lawyer. We had a series of meetings and stuff, my management as well, and it was discussed, not to leave the shores until I receive a contract. To date, I have not received a contract. At the age of 34, as you rightfully said, maturing years, with my experiences and also sharing experiences with former players as well, and players I would have played with in the very dominant Barbados team. When you reach a certain age, you need to think about your future. And I think it's important that I look at my life outside of cricket, and you offer me a role, and I grasp it with both hands. I would like to thank the Guyana Cricket Board and the franchise for obviously picking me in the draft, but it was a situation where it was between a rock and a hard place. And like I said, I had a series of meetings, and I wasn't prepared to leave my new post to go to Guyana unless I receive a contract.
Andrew Seeley, of course, our co-host, is with us. Andrew, when you look at this situation, the first thing I would have to ask Ryan is, you obviously didn't know of the opportunity to be assistant coach at UE, or not, you would have not gone in the draft. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the opportunity came about after you were selected for the Jaguars. How soon did you notify them that you won't be able to play?
But basically, I would have had dialogue with the franchise, also with the chairman of selectors, Ryan Griffith, and we spoke at length. I outlined my situation, my current situation, obviously receiving a new job and so forth. And I basically said, well, I'm at the age of 34. I'm thankful for the opportunity, but I would love to be a pay-as-you-play player. I'm not sure if the rules obviously if they were part of the rules, but that was my stance because, like I said, at age 34, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no guarantee that Ghana is going to pick me next year. So I have, like I said, I have my family here. I have to look after my future. I also have to look after their future as well.
Ryan, tell us about some of the conditions that a player would have to undergo as part of the PCL contract or franchise. We have not heard a whole lot. We've just heard that players are being paid. Basically, that's all we have heard. Can you give us some more information?
Well, basically, gathering some information from Raymond Reefer, who was obviously with the Ghana franchise last year. Basically, you have to look after your own living expenses, which obviously rent, food, etc.
When you say living expenses, how long are you expected to be in the country if you're not selected by your own territory?
Probably 8 to 9 months, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you know, as the coach now of, first of all, before I get to the coach, is everything okay with the current situation with the Guyana franchise? Have you guys come to an amicable agreement that, you're not going to play, but thanks very much? Is that fine?
Well, basically, I'm a guy that like to read, and obviously reading in the news, I realized that a young player would have replaced me in the franchise. Since I would have made contact with them in relation to my situation, I have not heard back from them, which is unfortunate. Like I said, I wouldn't have received a copy of the contract via email, fax, whatever. I mean, in this day and age, I don't think it's that difficult to
make contact with anybody.
Yeah. And I think it was really unfortunate, the situation, how they played out and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm thankful for the opportunity, obviously, to help Guyana cricket, but at the same stage, I think there was a communication breakdown. Obviously, a ticket was sent to me. I received a call that said ticket was sent. They would like me to leave on Friday, and I made it very clear that I'm not, obviously, starting my new role at UE, and I'm not leaving, I'm not prepared, I'm not comfortable to leave my job without a contract.
Has Ryan Hinds retired from first class cricket?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't think, I guess, you know, CCC is still, you know, involved in the cricket, and I'm not sure if they're going to be reinstated into 4-day cricket. Like I said, I keep.
Well, certainly not this year.
But not this year, obviously.
But the 50 over is coming up.
Yeah, that's also an option. And obviously, looking after my fitness, we work really, really hard. I mean, the guys, you know, they really crack my brain sometimes in terms of getting information. I think that's very important for the program. We're not only looking to win, but we're looking to develop players as well. I think that's also will help me as a person. Right.
Now, you are, like I said, 34. Any real thoughts of playing again for the West Indies?
Well, you know, you never know what can happen. I guess, obviously, our culture is different to Australia, England, and stuff like that.
Look at Borges.
I mean, the idea of Borges when his debut at 35, 36. Obviously, that's the norm for their culture. Our culture is a little bit different. I mean, when you reach 30, 28, 29, anywhere in that region, you start going downhill for you, which is unfortunate because we do not play, as I said on many occasions, we do not play enough cricket. So after 10 years, you only have 50 first-class games. I mean, you're coming up against guys who have in the region of 120 first-class games making their debut.
Yes. Now, I want to talk about your role now. Forget what has happened. Your role going forward. What is your day-to-day, what is your day-to-day schedule like at UWI as an assistant coach? You're assistant coach to Floyd Reefer, correct?
Right. Well, basically, Floyd is the head coach, as you said. Ryan Austin and Pedro Collins, you know, obviously, we facilitate and we obviously work in unison. Basically, we try to like mix it up. You know, sometimes we in the morning we batting drills, sometimes in the evening fielding drills as well, and we try to get some one-on-ones with the guys. And I think that everything is going well. I'm enjoying the environment. Like I said, it was well received from day one, and it's important for us to keep the program going, to keep producing quality cricketers. You know, if obviously I'm a guy that when I go into environment, I like to check the history of the environment, and obviously with CCC and UE, it created opportunities for guys like Jason Holder, Carlos Braffett, Jonathan Carter, these guys who went on to play for West Indies, and Kumar Bombers as well, to name a few. So I think it is important. I hope that in the near future, not the distant future, that they're reinstated, because it gives an opportunity to showcase talent in the Caribbean, regardless if 5 Barbadians play or not. I mean, the program is a program where we encourage, you know, discipline as well. I will admit, the guys work really hard. There's no bad eggs or anything like that. Everybody's willing to work, and Like you said, there's money in cricket, there's CPL, there are other opportunities available. So the guys are really working hard and enjoying the atmosphere.
Talking about enjoying the atmosphere, Ryan, if you mentioned the CPL, you've missed out on playing in something like the CPL. You were called up for this franchise system. How do you see franchise cricket going forward in terms of West Indies cricket? We're coming into the second year. Obviously, there are some issues, as you mentioned, in terms of having to foot your own expenses, which I don't think is probably correct given the circumstances. Now, how do you see a franchise system going forward in the region?
I'm all for the franchise system with players moving around. I think there are a lot of quality cricketers that are not playing at this present moment. You know, Fidel Evers, Tino Best, they're not involved, but it still can be a pay as you play where you guys can move around. I'm sure during the course of the season, guys will be drafted in. I still believe that there's some discrepancies in the contracts, but I guess that's beyond my portfolio. But I hope that these things like these can be ironed out. At the end of the day, like I said before, I mean, if you're asking a guy to leave his home and his family and stuff like that, I think things need to be
certain things need to be in place.
Certain things need to be in place.
You think the PCL though is the right way forward? The Professional Cricket League is the right way forward for cricket?
I think it's the right way forward because, like I said, obviously having guys moving around is important. You know, leaders over the years have not been as strong as they would like to be for obvious reasons, and having players going there and strengthen that, it can only help the cricket.
All right, wonderful stuff. Ryan, I want to thank you for clearing that up, and I wish you all the best in your new role as assistant coach. Ryan Hinds on the program. When we come back, we're going to tell you a tale of two men who have parted ways, not with perhaps the game of cricket, but with certainly their home teams, Sri Lanka and Australia. When we come back, we say goodbye to Kumar Sangakkara, Michael Clarke, and another man who might not be as popular, but certainly has said goodbye.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
We're back on the program. Time to talk Ashes cricket now, and England celebrating after winning the Ashes back from Australia. You remember when they last played in Australia, they lost 5-0. So now to come back and win 3-2 gives them their pride back, and that very precious urn, as you can see them celebrating that little piece of wood, Andrew, is very important to England, I can tell you.
It's perhaps the most important piece of wood in any cricket game anywhere.
Well, you know, a little bit of wood goes a long way. A well-known ad for the lumber company, or one of the lumber companies in Barbados. But in all seriousness, you look at the fact that the Australians fought back gallantly in a series that was, I thought, not competitively played. Besides that first test, all of the other test matches were predictable. Either Australia dominated throughout, or either England dominated throughout.
Very topsy-turvy, very topsy-turvy. And in fact, when you look at the stats from the series, the Australians actually dominated, which is quite interesting. Steve Smith with the most runs, David Warner had a lot of runs, Chris Rogers had a lot of runs. So it was really two players stood out for England, Joe Root and Stuart Broad. But apart from them...
And Anderson to lesser extent.
Well, before he got injured. Yeah. But what happened was, I think, the overall all-round play of England dominated an Australian team that was clearly not on song at this time.
Now, having said that, you correctly said, now Steve Smith, many people in Barbados, a well-known journalist, continues to say that Steve Smith is a flat wicket bully, which I don't necessarily agree. But Steve Smith had 2 bad test matches, only 2, and fought back so well in that last game, and he won man of the series. He's also man of the match.
He won man of the match in the 5th test, and now he's also back on top in the ICC rankings.
Now number one again. But let's hear from Steve Smith, his take on the series, and also his rise to number 1 again.
I think, you know, coming over here playing against England in these conditions is always going to be tough. You know, there were a couple of wickets that were a little bit spicy, and it was quite hard work. So, you know, it's what to expect coming over here. look, it's been disappointing for us to play the way we have in those other Test matches. But credit to England. I think they've played some very good cricket throughout this series and thoroughly deserve to win the series. I think as Test players we judge ourselves most on Ashes series. So it's a huge series for us, and we've got a lot of cricket to play before then. And there's probably going to be some new players coming in around our group. So hopefully they can come in and fit in well, and we can keep improving as a team.
Yes, good to hear from the new captain of Australia. And we've got to keep our eyes on Australia because the West Indies head down there for 3 Test matches, Hobart, Melbourne and Sydney at the end of the year. So it's important to see what is happening in Australian cricket. Speaking of Australian cricket, we told you so long ago, about 2 weeks ago, about the retirement of Michael Clarke. It hit home for him when there was that guard of honour for Michael Clarke playing in his final Test match. He's had a horrible series, and that is putting it mildly. Only scored about 98 runs or something like that. And as he finished his career in England and overall for Australia, you'd have to say it was a glowing career marked by the time he came in as a youngster playing with the likes of Ricky Ponting, David Martin and so on.
In fact, some Australian commentators have suggested, which is a little surprising to me, that after Alan Border, that Michael Clarke was one of the best captains Australia has had, which is surprising to me. Well, some commentators, and perhaps not the two of us, but it is surprising.
And we have never played Test cricket or one-day cricket, so we know.
So it's kind of interesting. I think he's the type of individual that you either loved or you hated. And that's interesting from an Australian perspective. The type of cricketer and a captain that you either loved or you hated. And I think that's how he will go down in history. His numbers, though, apart from this Test series, are very good numbers. And you have to remember that. I don't think you want to remember Michael Clarke from the Ashes of 2015.
Indeed not. Just finished his cricket career, averaging just under 50. I think it was 49.7. So well done, Michael Clarke. Australia also said goodbye to Chris Rogers, the opener. I mean, his career is nowhere near as glittering as Clarke's, and his popularity is really down on the Richter scale. So he said goodbye, but that was not as big a deal.
Of course not, but it's interesting. Chris Rogers, interesting career, starting at age 34, finishing at age 37, played lots of cricket, hundreds and hundreds of matches. He scored lots of runs, had a fantastic Ashes 2015, and has been consistently well for Australia. I think even more than Michael Clarke, at this point in time, Australia will miss Chris Rogers for the next year and a half because he was Mr. Reliable at the top of the order.
Well, you know, it was unfortunate that the player died last year, November.
Phil Hughes.
Yeah, Phil Hughes, when he was supposed to be the person to take over.
Right.
And that was unfortunate. So that would have jolted their plans a little bit, a bit unfortunate. As we continue looking at the week in cricket, it was one where tears shed and flowed freely in Sri Lanka at Galle when Kumar Sangakkara said goodbye. He's not playing Test cricket any longer. The series locked at 1-1. They are going to play the third match by the time this show starts. But let's hear from Kumar Sangakkara, who gave a very emotional farewell to cricket.
A lot of people ask me, you know, who inspired me. And I always say that I didn't have to look far for inspiration. Because I had my parents here with me, and I'm sorry, I don't want to embarrass you too much, but I didn't have to look far from my own home for inspiration because I had the most amazing parents that anyone could wish for. I had amazing siblings, and all the support, the love that they've showed over the years, whether I played cricket or not, whether I did well or not, the only place that I could go and feel safe was at home. And thank you, Amma and Appachi. Thank you. To Cookie, Tushari, and Vemindra. Thank you to all my in-laws. I've been blessed with an extended family. They always say you can't choose your family, you can only choose your friends. But I'm so glad that I was born as your children and your siblings. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I don't usually get emotional, but it's very rarely that my parents and my family come and watch me play, and I'm very, very thankful. And just to cap it all off, I've had 15 wonderful years playing this game, and everyone asks me what my achievements were, what about my hundreds, what about the World Cup win, what about the hundreds that I've scored. But I would like to say that when I look up at the box today and I see all my friends, people I've known for 30 years of my life, people I've met, later in life, all coming here on a Monday to support me, to have all my family here, to have my friends, to go today after this day is over and sit down at home and spend some time with my family, and to see that they still love me no matter what happens, no matter whether I win or lose, that their love is unconditional. That will always be my greatest achievement.
Great stuff. So now, you look at the fact that Sangakkara says goodbye. An era in Sri Lanka cricket has come to an end, and it's interesting to see how this third test is going to pan out without the Kumar Sangakkara. Jai Warden, we know, retired last year, but it's interesting to see how this is going to pan out.
Well, I think that Angela Matthews has the time of his life on his hands for the next year or so. When you look at the Sri Lankan batting now with Angela Matthews is easily the best player now. Dinesh Chandimal, Thiruman, some of the others just have not delivered in the time. And in fact, you now have a Sri Lankan team with Angela Matthews as the only player having played more than 50 tests. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable stuff. Well, when we come back on Mass United Insurance's Line and Length, we got some news to tell you about what's happening in the world of cricket, and then we're going to wrap it up for another week. Don't move a muscle. We'll be back.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
We're back for the last lap in Mass United Insurance's Line and Length for this week. We look at what's happening in the world of cricket. Congratulations to the South Africans with A.B. de Villiers at the helm again, bouncing back to win that series with New Zealand 2-1.
Yeah, well, South Africa at home in a strange time of the year as well, because it's not quite summer in South Africa, so it was quite cold, so I don't know. But the South African team performed well, introducing some new players, Riley Rousseau and Rabada, the pace bowler. So there's some new players involved, and certainly continuing to do well and do well at home.
Rehabilitation time. We told you last week about Salman Butt, Mohammad Asif and Mohammad Amir, who are trying again to play for Pakistan after their bans have been lifted. Well, September the 1st at least they will be lifted then. And they now have to undergo a period of rehabilitation, so says the Pakistan Cricket Board.
Yes, the rehabilitation, they said there's no automatic return to international cricket. In fact, they're supposed to play grade 2 cricket, show their ability and their worth, and they're also supposed to see a psychologist and spend some time with young cricketers talking about the frailties of cricket and being involved in match fixing and spot fixing. So there is a challenge for Salman Butt and company, former Pakistani captain. 2010 was the last time they would have played international cricket, and as Pakistan gets ready to tour England next year in 2016, it'll be interesting to see if the period of rehabilitation will be over by the time the selectors look to pick that team for the tour in 2016.
All right, and also big news breaking in the world of cricket only on Thursday, that Qatar is going to host a new T20 cricket league, which they say will rival IPL cricket, CPL cricket, and possibly Big Bash. And you know, if Qatar, the PCB, when they're ready to shed money, they do it in grand style. There's a lot of money in that part of the world. It's going to be played from February 4th to 24th next year. And they said they already have the top league test play nations aboard and the top T20 cricketers about to sign on.
Interestingly enough, the one thing they also do say is that there'll be no Indians involved in this Qatar New Pakistan PCB T20 tournament. Clearly, it still means that there's friction between India and Pakistan because, as we all know, no Pakistanis play in the IPL, so no Indians in the PCB T20 in Qatar. It seems like
the reason for that is that the BCCI, the Indian Cricket Board, they stated that they're not going to release any Indian players to play in any of the T20 leagues. So they don't play in CPL, they don't play in Big Bash, they don't play in any other, even the South African league.
Right.
They don't play in any of them because they want the IPL to be the sole place that their Indian cricketers can be found. So that's probably why. But it's going to be interesting to see which West Indian players will sign on. I assume they'll be rushed for Chris Gayle, Kieron Pollard, and the big names.
It depends on how much money is available, because you mentioned big money, but the Pakistan board was very quick to point out that the returns will not be anywhere near the type for the IPL. So perhaps we need to be sure about how much money will actually be available for the 3-week tournament.
While that is true, it comes at a very good time for T20 players to warm up because it comes before the T20 World Cup, which is in March, and that's in India. So it will be a good fill-up to go from that playing in Qatar to go and play in the T20 World Cup, which is in India right after. And there's no big cricket happening in February.
How will that affect, if we think locally and regionally now, how will that affect our PCL regional one-day tournament?
Well,
the one-day will play in January into February, but then the 4-day tournament will resume.
It won't affect the 4-day tournament because the players who I think will go and play in that T20 league will still not be available to play the PCL or don't want to play for the cricket. The Bravos, the Pollards, the Gales, they're not interested in Dwayne Smith, who has retired from that level.
Who's also said he's through with any long version of the game.
Yeah, so shouldn't be affected. But it will be interesting to watch and see. We're out of time. Thank you so much. Don't forget, send us your emails, cricket@lineandlength.net, or if you want to go on Twitter, you can find us on the handle @linelength. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Thanks to Andrew Seeley. Earlier we had Ryan Hinds on the program, and of course we'll be telling you what's happening in the world of cricket again next week. Bye-bye for now.